Here is a prime example of why you need to thoroughly research what you are working with before actually implementing it. I thought I knew what I was doing, and for the most part, I did. But there's this one little wire right here, which I have already clipped from here, and it was leading to the high rail of the chip. Well, as it turns out, the 74HC595, this pin is active low, and this activates the outputs. So with me having it tied high, it would never activate these for use with the other shift register chip. And with it all, that's why I didn't glue it in either, is because I needed to test it first. And now that I've realized the folly of my ways, I'm going to rectify that situation. And hopefully, what I'm going to do here is not going to be too difficult. As I said, hopefully, because stuff never goes the way you want it to 100% of the time. Especially once everything's already been put together. And realistically, all I have to do is go from here to there, and that should about do it. So, I don't know, should I just use a piece of trimmed off wire? Like just a thin little piece of copper? Probably not that thin. In fact, I actually have trimmings and scraps of things because they still sometimes come in handy for things like this, where you don't want to have to strip a wire and strip the other end. And yeah, see, it's not going good so far. Is that even long enough? Oh, perfect. Okay, now just to double check, I'm pretty sure it's the third one up? No, second one up. Okay. So actually, that's even better. What I'm going to do here So now, according to the data sheet, that one should activate the outputs now. I want that a little more flush with the circuit board. I don't know if it's going to want to do that. Pull this side up one more again. There we go. That's a little better. And then one more thing. While I'm here, I tied the clock pins together. I believe that is this yellow one. And I actually want them to have separate clocks, even though realistically it shouldn't change anything about how this device works. And it may very well have just been that output enable pin was not active, but I'm just going to go ahead and switch that anyway to where the clock pins are not synced up together, and instead have separate clocks for each of these chips. The reason that it matters is because what I'm having this do is send a 1 to the 595. And then that lights up this row of buttons. Based on which of these buttons is pressed, lights up one of these pins on the, I want to say it's the 165. Could be the 163. Let me double check that. Yeah. 74 HC 165 parallel input shift register. So the idea is loads up a 1. Push one of these buttons or push 2 of these buttons, it doesn't matter. And then whichever buttons you push is going to send a signal to these pins of the parallel input shift register. So parallel output, parallel input, serial output. So what it does is it shifts in a 1. Lights up these buttons. Press any combination of these buttons. It lights up these pins. Then it latches that in and shifts all of those bits out. Then it switches to the next row of buttons, or I guess columns, column of buttons, and then press a button, latch it in, shift it out, go to the next one, latch it in, shift it out, and it does that 8 times. So this goes 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 128. And this one just goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I guess it's. I'm not going to get into the logistics of that just yet. And so this shifts out all 8 of these bits 8 times. So there's 64, but actually there's 48 because I only have 6 rows, 8 columns. And so what I would do instead is, and that's why this needs to be disconnected, is so that I can control them independently. This one only shifts out when I tell it to shift out, but I guess the latch pins are still synchronized, which doesn't really make the biggest difference. It'll latch what it latches. And I'm going to go ahead and disconnect this. And then here are the extra 2 from the parallel input shift register. And I had planned on maybe having a couple of switches up here to where it'll tell it what setting to set the microcontroller to. I hadn't gotten that far into the testing phase. And so here's my favorite thing to do with one of these picks. Put it on the solder point. Actually, here's what I'm going to do first. And that just so happened to have worked. Doesn't always work all of the time. Sometimes I need to take my little dental pick here and put it in the space while heating up the solder joint and push a little hole through. But now, in fact, do I want to make this a different color clock signal? Because I've already got a yellow clock signal coming out. No, that's an orange clock signal. Yeah, thoroughly research your chips. And, you know, it wouldn't be harmful to have the data sheet at hand while working on it. So the 595, what do we got here? We've got the QH, the clear, whoops, the clock, which is the one I just disconnected it from. Whoops. Yeah, thoroughly research it. because now I just had it, now I've just set it to constantly clear. And that's why I'm recording this. You get to watch me make mistakes. Isn't this fun? So, what we're going to do here, we're just going to knock everything over. Just going to clip that one. We're going to pretend that didn't happen. You're going to forget you ever saw it. Yep, I should clear that out, but not going to. Just gonna leave that remnant sitting. Yep, you got to see me fix my alleged mistake while making another mistake. And then I'm just going to keep on trucking. See, it works great for just one wire. Terrible for a bunch of them. Going to tack that on there. So that near crisis has been averted. And we're just gonna pretend it never happened, right? This one would be 1, 2, 3, 4. That way. 3, 4. can get that lucky again. There is the dilemma. How do I hold this one wire in? See, it's easier when you're doing it all at once, because you can just lay it all out. But when you're doing like, oh no, I have to repair this somehow, then that's when things get tricky. Because see, now I can't even line it up correctly again. And then see, and I so wish I had one of those magnetic snap helping hands. This wire is way too long for what I need it for, but it is what it is. And that'll work to an extent. Don't mind all that extra solder on there. That was just, I think, the solder that came with this thing, or some solder that I was using from someone else's house, maybe. That can work, kind of, I guess. Feed this through here. And you know, sometimes the work can be very clumsy. And look at that, I just unthreaded it again. There we go. Just fine. Now, the next order of business is to actually get rid of this 6-pin header in lieu of a 7-pin header. But if I have to switch the latches out too, that's going to change things. I shouldn't have to switch the latches out because if the data's the same on the pins and the clock isn't running, then the latch is going to make no difference. One, two, three. Okay, so that's the data pin in. Here's the clock pin. No, data pin, clock pin. This one was supposed to be... This one's supposed to go to ground. That's right. That's right. Nope, the serial pin that I'm supposed to be connecting to is over here. See, that's half the problem too, is I get distracted and things get messed up. So where are we going? 1, 2, yeah. Get distracted after realizing what else is wrong. And what do we got here? I guess I can use a blue one for the 165's serial. Sorry if this video is so long and all you're doing is watching me make mistake after mistake. I hope you're having fun. I know I am. And the reason the pin numbers are backwards on this versus this side, I know you can't really see it. I'll go ahead and show you real quick. So these boards come in sheets, and you've got pin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and then on, pay attention to this corner, 1, 16. And so what it does is it flips them around on this side, because obviously pin 8 is not pin 1. I mean, I guess they could just put the solder mask label number here to where this whole side is 1 through 8, no matter what, 1 through 8 going this way, 1 through 8 going this way. But it's a universal surface mount to pin board, so that you can use the small ones or the bigger ones. I know, bigger ones being still pretty dang small. Not sure if you can see that in there. Yeah, still pretty small. But they make them even tinier. So now that I've hopefully gotten all of that taken care of, what I really should do is run this wire that off of there, since that is, honestly, it's not serving a purpose anymore, and I'm going to need to redo these. I might just make that a different video since this one's already coming along so steadily. 30 minutes in and I haven't accomplished anything yet. No, it feels that way sometimes. It wasn't until I started recording these and that I realized just how long doing one thing takes. Like soldering onto, like making a USB cord. Took way longer than I expected. So now we have data clock, latch, data, power ground. Data, clock, latch, data. Alright, I really should write this stuff down, especially if I'm going to be testing it. But that's about it for this video. I'll go ahead and start on the pinout, and they will be uploaded in 2 separate occasions. Love you guys.